I was looking at my smartwatch this morning. I won't say which brand, but you know the type.
Oh, yeah, the ones that tell you how you're supposed to feel before you even get out of bed.
Exactly. And it gave me this readiness score of 42, which is terrible.
Ouch.
Right. And the funny thing is, I honestly felt fine. Like, I was ready to take on the world.
Until you saw the number.
Until I saw that number.
Yep.
Then suddenly I just felt tired. It really got me thinking about this whole quantified self-movement we're living in right now.
Mm-hmm.
We have all this data, just mountains of it.
Yeah.
But do we actually know how to use it? Or are we just staring at error logs without knowing how to actually fix the code?
Yeah, it's the classic dashboard problem. You have the metrics, you've got heart rate variability, sleep stages, steps.
Right.
But you don't necessarily have the insights. You see a red light blinking on the dashboard, but you don't know which wire to cut to stop the alarm.
And that is exactly why today's deep dive is going to be so much fun. We are digging into a really fascinating source today.
We are.
It's a blog post from March 1st, 2026, over at keyandmeng.org. It's titled, This Week in Review, 2026, Week 09. And it's by an author named Ang, who describes himself as, and I love this phrase, an old software plumber.
It's a great description because he applies that exact plumber mindset to everything. Fixing leaks, optimizing flow, checking pressure valves.
But to his own biology.
Exactly. It isn't just a diary, it's a full system analysis. He is tracking everything from the specific programming languages he used to his sleep hours to the exact ratio of vegetables in his soup. It is incredibly granular.
So the mission for our deep dive today is pretty specific. We want to see what happens when you treat your life like a legacy code base.
Yeah.
When you actually debug your habits line by line. Because Ang found some correlations in this specific week that honestly go against a lot of the standard health advice we hear all the time.
Particularly regarding the relationship between high-stress mental work and rest. That's where the data gets really surprising.
Let's start right there. The sleep data. Because if you read the headlines, or, just listen to common sense, high mental load equals bad sleep.
Right, that's the standard wisdom.
If I'm working late, I'm wired. But his data says something totally different.
Completely different. So let's look at the numbers first. He averaged 7 hours of sleep daily for the week.
Okay, which is a solid number for a working professional.
It is. But the context is what really matters here. He explicitly states that he was pushing his mental limits. He was deep in the weeds with networking tweaks and hardware configuration.
Okay, pause there for a second. Usually if I'm deep in a problem, like if I'm trying to figure out a complex spreadsheet or something right before bed, my brain is just buzzing.
Yeah, you can't shut it off.
I'm staring at the ceiling, replaying the scenario, thinking, did I carry the one? Did I close that bracket?
But see, that is worry, or what psychologists might call an anxiety loop. What Ang is describing in his log is cognitive load, or cognitive exhaustion. There's a distinct difference in the biological feedback. He writes, you'll find that being mentally exhausted from figuring things out makes it much easier to drift off.
So it's the difference between, did I send that email, which is anxiety,
right,
and I just solved a differential equation, which is actual exertion.
Exactly. It's what we might call clean fatigue. When you exhaust the brain's processing power through problem-solving actual logic work, you deplete the energy stores in a way that signals the body to just shut down for maintenance.
Wow.
It's not the cortisol spike of emotional stress, it's the adenosine buildup of actual work. It's like how a carpenter sleeps after building a deck all day. Ang is just building digital decks.
That's a huge distinction. So he's basically frying his circuits in a good way. And looking at the logs, this paid off physically too.
The pain data.
Yeah, he tracks what he calls sporadic pains, which implies he deals with some chronic issues. And he notes they dropped significantly compared to the previous week.
Which creates a positive feedback loop. This is where the system analysis really shines. He notes that because the pain was down and the sleep was up, he had the capacity to tackle physical chores.
The gardening.
Right. He mentioned specifically that the improved rest allowed him to focus on clearing long-pending gardening work.
It's interesting you mentioned the gardening because that brings us to his philosophy on movement. I feel like everyone I know right now is trying to hit a gym PR or run a sub-25 5K.
Oh, absolutely. The fitness optimization space is very intense.
But Ang isn't doing that. He's not posting gym selfies.
No, and looking at his logs, his approach is actually far more sustainable for the average person who has a busy life.
Yeah.
He increased his step count. He went from about 5,893 to 6,396 steps for the week.
A nice bump.
Yeah, but he didn't do it by working out.
He calls it movement as a natural part of his daily ritual.
That phrasing is key. ritual. It implies it's non-negotiable, but also low friction. He talks about walking around the neighborhood after meals and doing chores. He didn't even drive to the nursery or the fish stores this week.
It was all local functional movement.
Exactly.
It reminds me of the Blue Zones research, where the healthiest people in the world don't run marathons. They just walk to the store and they garden. But he did have to make a hard call on the swimming, didn't he? I noticed a bug fix in that module.
That's a perfect way to put it. A bug fix. He was experiencing knee pains and muscle spasms. Now, a lot of people just push through thinking no pain, no gain.
Or they just quit entirely and sit on the couch.
Right. But Ang analyzed the data. He noted the spasms were better than last week, but still present, so he refactored.
He switched to light water walking.
Right. He didn't abandon the pool routine entirely. He just changed the intensity. That's the debugging mindset.
Yeah.
If a function throws an error, you don't delete the program. You just rewrite the function to be less resource intensive.
I love that. It's so much more forgiving than that toxic grind set mentality. But the biggest surprise for me in this log, and I really want to dig into this, was the weight loss and the stress connection.
Yes, this is probably the most critical insight in this week's log. It challenges a lot of assumptions.
So let's look at the stats. He dropped from 68.93 kilograms to 68.63 kilograms. Not huge, it's a slight drop. He admits it's likely water weight. But then he drops this hypothesis that completely stopped me in my tracks.
About the projects.
Yeah, he says he was mentally exhausted due to several overwhelming projects,
Right.
which for me usually means stress eating and cortisol spikes.
Right. High cortisol usually signals the body to hold on to fat, specifically visceral fat. It's a survival mechanism. Like, we are under attack, store energy.
But Ang says, and I quote, "I felt more satisfied than usual, which might explain a reduction in my cortisol levels."
Think about the implications of that statement. We tend to view stress as a monolith. We think all stress is bad. But Ang is isolating a specific variable here, satisfaction.
So if you're overwhelmed, but you're winning.
Your body chemistry reacts differently. It's the difference between distress and eustress, positive stress.
Okay, eustress.
Because he was tinkering, because he was solving these networking parameters and getting things to actually work, he was getting hits of dopamine alongside the fatigue.
So the satisfaction acts like a buffer. It neutralizes the cortisol.
That's the hypothesis he's presenting, and it actually aligns with a lot of flow state research. It suggests that burnout isn't caused by working hard. Burnout is caused by working hard without seeing results.
Oh, that makes so much sense.
Ang saw results. He fixed the network. He wrote the code. So even though he was exhausted, his body didn't go into fight or flight mode. It went into mission accomplished mode.
That is actually incredibly empowering. It means we don't necessarily need to reduce our workload to be healthy. We just need to make sure we're working on things that actually reward us.
Or find the wins in the work you're already doing. Frame it as a puzzle you're solving rather than a burden you're carrying.
And his diet seems to support this clean burning engine too. He mentions this 1.1.1 or 1.2.2 ratio. Can we decode that for the listeners who might want to try it?
Sure, it's a ratio of plants to protein to carbs. So a 1.1.1 plate is equal parts veggies, protein, and starch.
Okay.
It's a very balanced, blood sugar-friendly approach. He explicitly mentions deep-sea fish twice this week, plus miso noodle soup with vegetables.
Deep sea fish means omega-3s, which brings us right back to inflammation and that pain reduction.
Everything is connected in his system. The diet reduces inflammation, the sleep repairs the tissue, the satisfaction lowers the stress. It's a fully integrated system. He also mentions the concept of 70% fullness.
Right. Hara hachibu.
Exactly. It's a discipline thing. Most of us eat until we're 100% full. Or, let's be honest, 110%.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Stopping at 70% leaves resources available for digestion without making you lethargic. It keeps the server load light, so to speak. If your stomach is the CPU, you don't want it running at maximum usage all afternoon.
I love that analogy. So we've covered the hardware, the body, the fuel. Let's talk about the software he was running this week. Because if this tinkerer's mindset he talks about, he sounds like he was in a serious flow state.
He really was. He mentions a reignited passion for hardware and networking, specifically tweaking network parameters.
Okay, I have to be the layman here. Adjusting network parameters sounds like watching paint dry to me. Why is he so excited about this?
I know, it sounds incredibly dry to most people. But for a software plumber, networking is the ultimate control channel. You're controlling the flow of invisible data.
Right.
Optimizing packet loss, reducing latency. It's instant feedback. You tweak a setting and suddenly the speed test jumps up. It's It's very tangible. It's like tuning a race car engine.
And that energy spilled over, right? He didn't just stay in the router settings.
No, and this is how creativity works. One clear channel opens another. He mentions that these networking discoveries inspired him to bootstrap quite a few small Python scripts.
I noticed that list of languages he's maintaining. It reads like a computer science curriculum. Python, Haskell, Go, Elixir, Erlang, Rust.
It's a very heavy stack. And for the listeners who aren't coders, maintaining code in 6 languages is like trying to write poetry in 6 different languages in the same week. The context switching cost is extremely high.
Haskell alone is enough to make my brain hurt.
Exactly. But notice the type of work he was doing. He calls it fixing linting and test coverage issues.
Which is basically digital janitorial work, right?
In a way, yes. Linting is just running a program that checks for stylistic errors. Missing semicolons, bad indentation, unused variables. It's not glorious work. It's not building the next big thing.
But he's doing it. And it mirrors his life, doesn't it? He's linting his code and he's linting his diet. He's checking the test coverage on his sleep.
That's a beautiful parallel. He's not building a massive new app this week. He's refining what's already there, except for those few Python scripts inspired by the networking tweaks. But we do have to be honest about the bugs, too. Even a rigorous system has trade-offs. He dropped the ball on his meditation.
Yeah, he admits it openly. He says he'd totally forgotten about this due to his indulgence with multiple projects.
I love the word indulgence there.
Usually people indulge in chocolate cake or reality TV. Aang indulges in networking protocols.
But he's acknowledging that the coding work was almost hedonistic for him. He got so lost in the pleasure of problem solving that the formal practice of sitting in silence for 1 or 2 minutes felt unnecessary. Or he just forgot.
Do you think that's a failure? Should he feel bad about missing the meditation?
I don't think so. I think the coding became the meditation. If the goal of meditation is focus, clarity, and being present, he achieved that. He just did it with a keyboard instead of a cushion.
It's a really fair point. But he didn't stay digital all week. He needed to touch grass. Literally.
The analog grounding. This is crucial. You cannot run a CPU at max capacity without a cooling system. For Aang, that cooling system was the garden.
He calls gardening his walking meditation. Since he skipped the formal sitting, he replaced it with raking leaves and decluttering the garden.
And notice the goal. No new plants yet.
Just like the code. No new features, just maintenance.
Precisely. He's clearing space, clearing the memory leaks in his yard. And he has this rule for home improvement that I think I'm going to steal immediately. The 1 item a day rule.
Oh, I marked that down in big, bold letters. Decluttering just one small item at a time. It's so anti-overwhelm.
It completely bypasses the procrastination circuit. Everyone can move 1 box. Everyone can throw away 1 old receipt. He mentions he still has pending tasks. Installing curtains, fixing grout on the front yard balcony.
The grout work. It's always the grout work. It's comforting to know that even a guy who tracks his sleep efficiency to the decimal point still has unfinished home repairs.
But because of his 1 item rule, those pending tasks don't seem to stress him out. They're just tickets in the backlog. He'll get to them, he logs them, acknowledges them, and moves on.
It's very forgiving. And then finally we have the fish keeping. The cichlids.
The yellow-blue rack.
Yeah. Why include this in the log? Is it just a hobby? Or does it fit the software plumber theme?
It's another ecosystem he's managing. Cichlids are complex fish. They need specific water parameters. They have social hierarchies. It mirrors the networking work in a way. But it's slow. Fish don't compile. You have to wait.
He mentions he's looking for fish species for outdoor ponds, but hasn't found them yet.
A null result. But he logs it. That's important. He's tracking his inaction as well as his action. Most people wouldn't write that down. They just forget about it. Aang logs the inactivity.
Because knowing you didn't do something is just as important as knowing you did.
Precisely. It keeps the record complete.
So, stepping back, looking at week 09 as a whole, we have this guy who is running high-intensity scripts in his brain, Python, Rust, networking tweaks, and then balancing it with incredibly lo-fi activities.
Yeah.
Raking leaves, watching fish, eating soup.
That's the architecture of a sustainable life. High performance requires deep recovery. But, and this is the key takeaway, recovery doesn't always mean lying on the couch doing nothing. Sometimes recovery means switching the input channel.
Switching from digital to analog.
And switching from input to maintenance.
I keep coming back to that idea of satisfaction as a biological hack. That seems to be the thread tying the gardening, the coding, and the sleep together.
It's the strongest signal in the noise. If you're listening to this and you feel fried, Don't just ask, how can I do less? Ask, how can I feel more satisfied with what I'm doing?
That's the reframe right there. Maybe you don't need a nap. Maybe you need a win.
Exactly. Find your networking tweak. Find the hard problem that makes you feel like a genius when you solve it. That might do more for your cortisol levels than a week at a spa.
And on the flip side, don't neglect the linting, the raking, the boring stuff that clears the cache.
The system needs both. You need the dopamine of the win, and you need the peace of the maintenance.
I'm going to leave you with a provocative thought today, something to mull over. We often try to relax to sleep better, right? We treat insomnia or restlessness as a disorder, something attacking us.
Right.
But looking at Eng's weekend, maybe those are just system notifications. Maybe your insomnia isn't a bug. Maybe it's a feature. It's your body telling you that you didn't challenge your brain enough today, or that you didn't ground yourself with enough physical reality.
That is a really provocative idea. Could the real cure for a restless night be a harder math problem during the day? Or a deeper dive into a hobby you love?
I'm willing to test it. I'm going to go find some really broken code to fix before bed. Or maybe just fix that leaky faucet I've been ignoring. Find my own garden walks, so to speak.
And I'm going to go move exactly one box in my garage.
There you go. Optimization in action. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us today into the life of a software plumber. We hope you find your own bugs to fix this week.
Keep tracking.
See you next time.